Okay, so good evening, students. Welcome to day 3 of chapter 1, last day for chapter 1. So we have the early joining chocolate goes to Diksha, then Manisha, Jia, Harshit. So good evening to all of you. So let us start. Any question you have from day before or prior lecture, kindly put it in the chat. Rest will continue. Okay. Standard disclosures. Chapter 1, automated business process. Okay. Now, today we want to talk about risk and controls for specific business processes. Today, most of our discussion will be from the module itself. But before that, we have to take that homework that you must have done on flowchart. So let us go to flowchart first. That is the breakup of the chapter. So we have talked about automation, the categories of business. Then we'll be today talking about, specific business process and related activities, flowcharts, uh, data flow diagrams, and regulatory compliances. Okay. So now this is the basic flowchart. I kindly put it in the chat. How many of you have solved the flowcharts? We shared 3 flowcharts. So how many of you have solved your flowcharts? Yeah. So put your message in the chat while I'll bring the. So these were the 3 flowcharts we were talking about. Add 3 numbers A, B, C and print the result. Identify highest from 3 numbers A, B, C. Then add first 25 even numbers and print the result. So let us look to the solution one by one. So allow me to share the solution screen. Just give me a second. Yeah. Okay. So this is the first flowchart. The given now I'll come to the flowchart, the issue that I've raised in the solution. But let us, I'll try to zoom this so that it's visible in the screen. Now, so now this is the solution, very basic flowchart. We will create, see this was a basic simple example. Through this, we are going to create the basic rules when you solve your flowchart. So every flowchart, whenever you do, so first try to see, to me flowchart is one of the topics that you get 100 out of 100. So if it's a 10 marks question or 8 marks or a 6 marks question, you can score full out of full in flowchart. So to be able to score full, what things you must do to ensure that your flowchart is correct? In fact, I understand that there is a chance that many of you in your school, in fact, a lot of languages are being taught till 10th class. Logo now, as I understand in the new syllabus for 11th, 12th, Python is also being taught. So many of you are aware with the programming languages. Those of you who have done logo, so for them this is going to be easy. Now let us start defining the flowchart. This start session is on flowcharts itself. So what exactly is flowchart? So what we will do, we'll take a practical approach to it, how you look at it. So the question given, the question 1 that was given to you was add 3 numbers. So 3 numbers have to be added. Now, why this idea about flowchart is there? So please understand, whenever you talk about computer programming, see, computer is at the end of it, it's a machine. Of course, now you have AI based system, but the way of processing intelligence is also defined by humans. Just for example, like AI is being used across the world. Countries have AI tools, AI apps are there. So I'm just seeking example from, say, how China is regulating. Now, uh, there are a lot of restrictions on free speech in many countries, including China. So what they have planned that their AI servers are going to respond in a specific manner. Now, please understand. So that means even with artificial intelligence, because the thought process that is being created by humans. So humans are planning to put restrictions on how it is going to be processed. One second, one of you did talk about Chat GPT. Now, GPT is an application of this whole thinking technology. So what is happening? The thing that is happening is that machines have been given sufficient data, what we call as knowledge base, sufficient way of processing this, how, in what situation, how to respond like, and means I'm not able to get to the right gigabytes, then you had petabyte, and then whatever hundreds and thousands of crores of giga and petabyte of data is there, logics are there, phenomenal processing speed is being given to system. So what is happening? The idea is that whatever technology is, whatever level technology today is, how it is going to behave, how it is going to work is being defined by humans. Now, with this very definition at a very high end, I want to bring you to down to this simple flow chart. See, the idea is that when you want computer to do something, you have to tell what to do. So computer has capability of doing how it is programmed, how it is defined it to work. So flowchart is that basic from where you start drawing the programs, how computer is going to work. So flowchart is diagrammatic representation of a logic that you want your computer to work upon. So we have started with a simple example. So we have created definition. Then we have started with a simple example, that is adding three numbers. Now, if you look to the flowcharts, see, our idea is clear that we want to get 100 out of 100, 100% score in flowchart. So the first symbol, that the start symbol, you may call it as an oval. So every flowchart must have one oval at the start and one oval at the end. So you must have two symbols, because see, again, understand, you are telling computer to do a job. So if you don't tell computer to start, it is not going to start. If you don't tell computer to end, it is not going to end. So it is going to, if you don't say end, then it will run into infinite loop, or stand still like that. So you need to tell start, you need to tell end. So the first and last symbol are important. Then the start, the symbol just below that start. So I'll define this symbol. You see a rectangle. Okay. So rectangle is defining a process that is being done in computer. So if you see of 1, 2, 3, we have 6 symbols on screen. Of 6 symbols, 3 are rectangles. So they basically represent the processing activity that is being done. So in those rectangles, you define what computer is supposed to do, what the system is supposed to do, what the central processing unit is supposed to do. Within central processing unit, you have something called as a memory unit, arithmetic logic unit. So what these are going to do? So this command is important. So first command is oval with start written into it. Second is a rectangle with this written, clear all working locations. Now, this is a very important command. This is means for computer to work correctly, this is what is needed. See what happens in the memory registers. There is a chance of some variable carrying, say, for example, you want to add your value of ABCs 10, 20, and 30. You want to add 10, 20, and 30. The result is 60. If you don't give clear all working locations, the risk is that in the computer's memory, there may be some previous program which has run. And in that program, there was a variable called as A. So that A in the previous program had a value of 1000. So it is still there, because see, it is computer, you have to tell everything. So the second is very important, clear all working locations. This ensures that whatever variables have any registered value in system, that are nullified, that are brought to nil, zero, like that. So that is important. Then Now, so let us, I've prepared two flowcharts for this. I'll tell you the background of it. Read ABC. Now see, read is an important instruction that you kindly remember. So there are two ways of sending value of ABC to computer. How you can tell computer what is the value of A, B or C. So one way is asking the user to feed it to computer. Other way is asking the computer to read from existing values. So when I say read, so whenever you see read as a command, it basically means that there are stored values at some database from where it is being picked. So this is what you call as read. Okay. We'll see the other flowchart also. Then once you read, then you say you want to calculate sum. So then in the next rectangle, the process you say add ABC sum. So then these four variables are there. And then you give that print is a very special symbol, print sum and end the program. So that is how you go about it. Now, what in examination, how you have to do to ensure that your flowchart is correct. So because this is a very simple flowchart, let us so what I'll do, say we'll have value of A, say 10. You always do it. So in your examination also, always have what I would call, you can call it as a test run, or I would prefer to call it as a dry run. Generally you say dry run. So you give these values, test values, and this will be part of your working notes. Okay, so do give these values, see how the program is working. In fact, this is a simple flowchart. In the second flowchart, we will take the values and do a dry run. You'll enjoy that dry run, how it is going to work. Okay, so you have given three values, A, B, C. Then, so I said read. So these values are stored in computer. System has read these values. And now, so it has read A, B, C. So these values are available. Now it is generating sum. So what will happen in this step? This here, it will calculate sum. So now it is going to add A to B to C. The value of sum will become 60. And here at print, it is going to print that value. Print. So the result of this stage will be on the paper or whatever mode you want, 60 will be printed like that. So this is how a flowchart is going to work like. So this is part one, where we are reading the values from existing stored locations. Let us look to part two of this second way of looking at this flowchart. Can you tell me the difference, the first flowchart and the second flowchart? By the time you have put some queries, so I'll read them. So please tell me the difference between this one and the previous one. Yeah, yes. So, so Shivangani has tried to solve it. So Shivangani, you can just check it, so whether it is correct or not, and then you can be your self-assessment. You can do and say that, yes, I did correctly, or this was a mistake. We are learning. So nothing bad in doing mistakes right now. It's better to do mistakes now. Okay. So, great. So, yes. So Arshit has pointed the difference. Difference is in the command read and input. So when I said read, so read is basically telling the computer, read from stored locations. Input is now user is going to feed. So user feeds the value, presses enter, and then total is generated in system and it is printed. That is first flowchart. Okay. Any questions you have on this one? Because second is going to take our time, and that is with those category of flowcharts are asked in examination. This first flowchart was only to create an introduction that what is a flowchart. So what is a flowchart? It's a diagrammatic way of representing a logic, a requirement that you want to do. Why is it is needed? Because you want to program, you want to create code. So to be able to create a code, first you need to create a logic, the way it is working. So this is simple. Okay. In the next, you will learn why logic is so important. Very good. So you have, all of you have answered correctly. So it's learning. See, in fact, I was just, whenever you deliver lecture, so there is a process of recall. You recall what you discussed day before and prior to that. So one of the things that I missed on day one, generally I always share it, that see, all of us who are attending this class, you all need to create a like a objective, a purpose, a deliverable, a goal. So the goal for our class is we all must get at least 80% in exam in our subject. So out of 50, I think the paper is 50 marks. So all of you must get at least 40 marks. That is our goal. Okay. So to be able to achieve this goal, one of the good things to do goal is to ensure that flowchart you get full out of full. So that is very important. It's very logical also. Okay. Then, so let us go to the second solution. So give me a second. I'll bring the second solution. Now, this flowchart will require some basic understanding of how it is being processed. Let me first bring the whole flowchart on screen. Let us see. Yeah. Now, so let us first understand symbols and then we'll put logic. So we'll do a dry run, a real dry run. Every step we'll do. That will create a good understanding, and that will, now this flowchart will tell you why flowchart is needed before you start for programming, because then the logics have to be created. Okay. Now, so the question 2 was identifying the highest from 3 numbers. So 3 numbers are given and you need to identify the highest. Again, I have used read. Okay. So you can always say input, read. Then you have to see how it is put in the question. Okay. So if question is not specific, then you can use read input. But if question says that identify highest number based on user inputs, then you use input. So that distinction you have to create. Now, let us read the flowchart, the symbols. So from the previous flowchart to this flowchart, there is one flow symbol that you see is a special symbol, that is this. This is what we call as the rhombus. This symbol where you see the spotlight. This is what is called as rhombus, or what we say a decision symbol. This symbol is called as the decision symbol. Okay. Then another thing that you must remember in the flowchart is this. You see this arrow, your direction of arrow has to be very clear. Okay. So always you don't only draw a line, you say that the data is flowing. So this arrow has to be there because it is computer. Please understand, the examiner, when he or she cuts the number, because if this arrow is not marked, he or she is doing exactly what computer is going to do. If you don't mark the arrow, the program will not work because it will not know whether I have to send data or receive data. So please be very specific. Huh? The arrows have to be very clear. It has to be visible and it must tell the direction where the data is going from. So this arrow here. Okay. Then clear CAWL, I've used a short form. Please, in exam, you write the full. Clear all working locations. Very important. Then you have read 3 numbers. Now, if you look to this decision symbol or rhombus, rhombus is going to have one input. Okay. Just again, be sure what thing you need to remember is rhombus is going to have one input and 2 outputs, because decision to do or not to do, yes, no. So rhombus is going to have 2 outputs, one input and 2 outputs, like that. Then we'll run through this flowchart. It's a very good flowchart to discuss, understand. If you see, now see, there is a concept of quality of flowcharts. Okay, please understand. Flowchart is pure mathematics. Like you can logically make it. There is always, if you draw based on, if you have understanding and you draw based on your own logic, the chances are that your flowchart and the flowchart probably in the module or suggested may have some difference. But if you're logically correct and you create this dry run that I am sharing, you get full marks. So kindly be very sure you need not reproduce a flowchart. Please understand it's pure mathematics. Once you understand, then you'll be able to do it. Now, so what we'll do for this flowchart, we'll create more than one value set. Okay. So I'm creating that value set. So first set is A is 10, B is 20, and C is 30. Okay. Now what we will do at each step, we will draw result of the step. So when you see, this is what we say dry run. Dry run is what? Seeing whether the flowchart is working logically or not. That we call as a dry run. Okay. So what I'll do, near each step, I'll write the output of the step. Okay. So here is our, so just see the arrow, how it is flowing. So the arrow is flowing like this. Here, then it goes here. Now, if you see, this decision is comparing value of A to B. Okay. So when it compares value of A to B, is A greater than B? Just see, is A greater than B? So what we'll do, we'll write the result here. Okay. So what we are going to do, we'll write the result. So here, in this step, the answer is no. So this decision is no. That means now when the answer is no, the program has to flow in which direction? The direction of no. So one decision we have used. Now we are flowing in the direction of no. Now it is again checking, is B greater than C? So let us see what is the value of B, 20. What is the value of C, 30. So if you put is B greater than C again, here also the result of this is no. So here also the result is no. So you go down. Simple. A is greater than B, no. That means B is greater. B is greater than C, no. That means C is greater. So which is highest? C. So 30 is highest. Okay. I'll change value. We'll be doing more than one iteration because this is how you are going to understand the logics, how flowchart, why flowcharts are probably needed, why you need to work on that. Okay, Madhuri has a question. Rectangles are, Madhuri, for process. So wherever you see rectangle, it's the process that is being done. Rhombus is also process, but rhombus process is a specific process, a decision. Rectangle is you can do anything in that. But for decision, mandatorily use a rhombus as a symbol. That is. Okay. So I'll change values. We'll do all possible iterations here. Okay. So first set was A 10, B 20, and C was 30. I'm changing. So now our A is 20, B is 10, and C is 30. Let us do. Okay. So again, let us flow as the flow chart is flowing. So read ABC 20, 10, 30. Is A greater than B? Now, from the previous one, there is a change. Now the answer is yes. So at this rhombus, the answer is yes. So now you have to take the path of yes. What is the path of yes? Here, yes. Go down. Now here it is asking, is A greater than C? Is A is 20, C is 30. So is A greater than C? So here at this path, the answer is no. A is not greater than C. So you take the no result, no. Which is highest? C is highest. Yes. 10, 20, 20, 10, 30. C is highest. Now let us do it by the values. Is A greater than B? Yes. 20. Is A greater than C? No. 20 is not greater than 30. So which is greatest? 30. That is the result. One last iteration. So now A is 20, B is 30, and C is, sorry, A is 10, B is 30, and C is 20. That is A, B, C. Let us do it. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So let us see where we are going to flow. Read ABC, 10, 30, and 20. Is A greater than B? Let us see. A is 10, B is 30. Is A greater than B? The result is, so this decision says no. So you follow the path of no. Then is B greater than C? Is B greater than C? Yes. So this rhombus gives up answer of yes. Is B greater than C? Yes. So you follow the path of this. Which is highest? B is highest. Automatically reach the right result. So this is how you, and this is what, so once you have drawn the flow chart, you do what we call as dry run. So take one, two, and it's very fast. Right? You'll do it in less than 2 minutes. But the best part is, see, once you do this dry run, then what will happen? Suppose you have put a logic that may not be exactly the way flowchart is in the module or is suggested, but logically your flowchart is correct. Then you get full marks. It is pure mathematics. Okay. Now there is, beyond that, there is a concept that need to be created in terms of the use of decision symbols. See, this flowchart, the one we are looking at, ABC, will require minimum 3 decisions, rhombuses. So if you draw more, if you can draw this flowchart with more rhombus, but then that affects the quality because more decisions, and that affects the processing also because computer will have to do some additional steps. So that is what is quality built into flowchart. That is the second one. Let us see if you have got any questions on this. Okay, so that is the second flowchart. Then, okay, so I'm putting this back to you. Suppose the question is identify the highest from 3 numbers. I redefining the question. Okay, you'll have to tell me what change has to be done. So the text is here. Yeah. So suppose I change is to lowest. So we have, I want to make a flowchart which has to identify the lowest of given 3 numbers. So you in the chat say what is the basic change that is needed if I want to do the lowest. So I think you've got the question. Let me go to the third flowchart by the time you answer it. So now I am opening the solution for the third flowchart. Okay. So I'm expecting the answer for the previous flowchart that if yes, so you have to change that symbol which, so A is greater than B, you have to change A is less than B, like that. Okay, good. Then, okay, now next is, so let us read the question. The question is add first 25 even numbers and print the result. So this is another category of flowchart that it allows us to learn another aspects in flowchart. Yes, where you need to create something what is called as a count or counter. Okay. So how you get an understanding that the flowchart requires a counter or a count. So let me just, yeah. See, if you have this, any line like this, add first 10 numbers, 25 numbers, odd numbers, even numbers, then you need to use count. Okay. So this is an indicator that here you need to use a count. Just read the question like that. Now, so we are adding the first 25 numbers. This flowchart will require a count to be created. So again, start, clear all working locations. Now, n I have kept as 2. Again, even numbers So the difference between the first even number and second even number will be 2. So that is why n is 2. Okay. You can create your own logic. Please understand. It is pure mathematics. Okay. So if with your logic, you say that this, I don't want to keep n as 2, you want to keep something else, please keep it. But the result has to be logically correct. I'll show you how it works. Then C is what is the addition in this flowchart. That is what you call as a count. Count means we need to count. Count what? How many numbers have been added till now? So that is a count. Like you have this milometer in your vehicle. So it's a count. How much things you have done, like that. So C is used for count. Now, n is 2. So the first even number is 2. So that was the logic, that why n is 2, because it is the first even number. Now what we are doing? Sum is equal to sum plus n. Okay. Now, what is the value of sum? Because n is 2, C is 1. I am asking you this question. I have already told you, I want you to think. Just before this step, C is equal to 1. Here, what is the value of sum? Let me answer that question. See, because you have already said to the computer, clear all working locations. You have done that. So what it has done? Any variable, any name, the value is 0. So exactly before this step, the value of sum is 0, because now you have already cleared all working locations. Now, so sum is, before it is 0. Now what you're doing? Adding sum to sum plus n. So now what is the value of sum? 0. N is 2. So now after this step, sum becomes 2. We'll do a dry run. We'll get a good understanding based on that. Then again, arrow is important. So value of sum is 2. Then it is asking, is C is equal to 25? C 25 हो गया. 25 क्योंकि we have to add first 25 numbers. So whether it is equal to 25. Right now the C is 1. So right now the answer is no. Then what you do? Increment the value of C by 1. So now C is 2. Increment the value of n by 2, because you are adding the next even number. So now originally n was 2. After this step, n becomes 4. Then after this, if you see the arrow, it goes back. It goes into a loop. Now, so C is 2, n is 4, is going up, adding sum to n. As this step was done, the value of sum was 2. The value of n is 4. So result is 6. So it goes like this, adds first 25 numbers, checks the count, how it is there, and then prints. I will do it practically for understanding. Okay, so let us, now to make it, we cannot do 25 iterations. We are part of a class. So what we'll do, we'll add only first 3 even numbers. Okay, for example, we are adding first 3 even numbers. So I'll just put it here. So we are creating this flowchart to add first 3 even numbers. Okay. Now, so 3 even numbers means at least 3 iterations. So each iteration will put a location. So this is our iteration number 1. Iteration, number of times. So this is iteration 1. As you go with iteration 1, what is the value of n? N is 2. What is the value of C? C is 1. Then we are in iteration 1. Our iteration is all steps from here to here. Please understand. Let me draw a line. When I say an iteration, so all steps from this here that is my iteration. Okay. So this one. So we'll process this first time. So n is 2, c is 1. What is the value of sum? So we are in iteration 1. Sum is equal to, sum's value is 0 plus value of n is 2. So sum becomes 2. Now I'll write result. So result of iteration 1. What is the result? N is 2, C is 1, and sum is 2. My iteration 1 is over. Iteration means before I reach the counter C. Now what the computer is doing, it is asking, is C equal to 25? What is the C? C value is 1. So the result of this question is no. In our example, this 25 has to be replaced by 3 because we are adding 3 numbers to it. Then, as you go down, the value of C changes. So as soon as you go down, in this step, C is equal to C plus 1. So C becomes 2. Again, you go down, N becomes 2 plus 2. So N is 4. So values have changed. And now this arrow from here, it is going up here. So you are at this point, just before this triangle. Okay. So now, here our iteration 2 starts, I2. Okay. So here is I2. Sum, what is the value of sum as you do I2? Sum is sum plus n. Now, you have to see sum is 2 here, n is 4 here. So now sum is becomes 2 plus 4, that is equal to 6. So the value of sum is 6. Okay. Done. Now it again goes down. Is C 3? No, C is still 2. So you add C plus 1. So now here, now the value of C is what? In the third phase, C is 3. What is the value of N? It is 4 plus 2, 6. So now N is 6, 3 is C. Again, you take the spotlight, the arrow. From here, you again go up here. Sum is sum plus N. Now, once you did this, the value of sum had become, so in your iteration 3, I3, sum will be equal to 6 plus 4. So let us do sum is 6 plus 4. That is equal to 2 plus 4, 6. Sum is, yeah, N is 6. So 6 plus 6, 12. Sorry. Okay, sorry. N is 6. Huh? The value of N, I'll just show you here. Spotlight, yeah, here. N value is now 6. Okay. So we always learn. So sum becomes so here sum is equal to those 6 from this phase plus the new value of that is, again, it is not, the loop is running. So again, is C equal to 3? Yes. Now the value of C is 3. So now the answer is yes. So as soon as you see yes, it comes, prints the sum, that is 12, and ends. That is what we call as a dry run. So when you draw flowchart in examination, always do this. This can be part of your working note. It allows you to get full marks in exam. So this is what we call as flowchart with a counter. That is how you do it. So that is the third flowchart. Now it's then now you need to practice from the module. The mode of interaction and the time available doesn't allow to have a larger discussion, but it's a good topic. This topic itself is at least a separate class in itself. But let us take it as it is. So can we do practice? We'll be meeting again. You can always ask questions. Let us see if you have any query here. Yeah. So Harshit, CAWL is clear all work. I'll just type it again. Huh? So please, you in your exam, please write it fully. Clear all working location. That is CAWL. Yeah. Then I asked value of some good. So you have all said correctly 0. Yeah, Manisha. See, Manisha, C is basically here. This is the question Manisha has. Why C? C is our counter. So in this flowchart, the additional thing that you are learning is how to create a counter. So you are counting how many numbers you need to add? 25 in the question. In our dry run, what we did, added 3 numbers. So we are doing a counter like that. Okay. Now I have a question to you. Okay. The question is, and it's a prize winning question, that in this flowchart was adding 25 even numbers. Suppose I change. So what change I do? I change that you create a flowchart for adding, say, 25 odd numbers. So if this is the question in exam, what change you will do in the flowchart to make it a flowchart for adding 25 odd numbers? There is a singular change to be done, only one change. Like you see those matchbox questions coming, a matchbox is arranged in a special way, and then they tell you that you can only move one matchbox to create a new figure from matchbox. So the answer to this question is only one change is allowed. What is that change? If you want to make this flowchart to add 25 odd numbers, only one change is allowed. Good. Good. Darshan has put a good question that let me answer. That if we are not able to complete a flowchart in one page, then Darshan, there is a symbol of off-page connector. I'll show you the symbol. So you create an arrow to that off-page connector, and then create the balanced flowchart on next page. Very good. Got the logic? No. Okay, all I've answered correctly. There is only one incorrect answer. So I'm not reading the name of the student, but to the one. So the correct answer is 1. So what you are only going to do is change the value of n from 2 to 1. So the start number is 1. 1 plus, then when you add 2 here, the next number becomes 3. So that is the only change. Okay. Very good. So you all answered correctly. Okay, except 1. But okay, that is how you create a flowchart. Now, for Harshit's answer, I will show you the flowchart symbols. Off-page connector. Any more query? Yes, Sunil. My very personal suggestion is that it's a very scoring info. This question I asked on day 1, first 10 minutes, the question I asked whether it's a practical or a theory subject. So to me, it is 100% practical, and this part is practical into practical. 100, you always get 100 marks if this comes in exam. So that is how I look at it. Okay. So now I'll bring the PPT. Just give me a second. So these are the symbols. If Harshit, if you're able to see, I'll just again put a spotlight on this. Here is this off-page connector, Harshit. Yeah. Sorry, Darshan. So Darshan, this is your off-page connector. So use this symbol to connect on next page. So it's very intensive discussion for flowcharts. Take your time, learn as much more you can on this. Okay. Next, we've done the solutions. Now, risk and controls for specific business processes. See, today, most part of our discussion will be directly doing from the module. So let us start. I'll tell you when to open the module. So risk we have talked about. To mitigate risk, you have to put in place control. So we are looking at the control aspect. So suitable control should be implemented to meet the requirement of control objectives. These controls can be manual, automated, semi-automated, we have talked about, so that the risk can be mitigated. Based on the scenario, now see, please understand, scenario is a very technical word in system. I'll tell you with a very simple example. Okay, you will understand scenario means what. So scenario is the like a holistic view of the situation, the location, the time, event, like that. I'm just sharing this. You answer it in chat. Say there's a government all across India, municipal corporations do fire drill in their cities. पूरे भारत में अपने म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन अपने शहरों में फायर ड्रिल करते हैं. किसी बड़ी बिल्डिंग में आग लग जाएगी तो कैसे लोग बचेंगे, तो दे डू अ मॉक ड्रिल. Okay. And now today, see the way market has grown. So in each of, even in small town cities, we have departmental stores. Now there is the idea of scenario. So I am trying to bring the word scenario so that you can understand. So scenario in this paragraph has lot of importance. I'm bringing that issue to you. I'm putting this question to you, that suppose the municipal corporation of your city town decides to do a mock fire drill. आपके शहर के, जगह के, तहसील के, गांव के म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन ने तय किया कि हम फायर ड्रिल करेंगे. They decide to do a mock fire drill. My question is, which day the fire drill effectiveness will be more accurately validated? Which day of the week the fire drill's accuracy will be, or effectiveness will be more clearly, more precisely validated? Suppose the municipal corporation decides to do a fire drill on Sunday and it decides to do a fire drill on Monday, 6 p.m. म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन ने तय किया कि फायर ड्रिल अपन करेंगे एक रविवार को शाम को 6 बजे और दूसरी सोमवार को शाम को 6 बजे. So of doing a fire drill in a departmental store Sunday 6 p.m. and Monday 6 p.m. The result of which are going to talk about more effectiveness, efficiency. That question you need to answer. So Sunday is better or Monday is better, like that. They have to do both days, please understand. This Sunday and Monday is what is called a scenario. So you have to see the location, the risk, the vulnerability, like that. So it's a very big topic. Scenario itself is a big issue. Then, so based on this scenario, the controls can be preventive, detective, or corrective. We have had good discussion on these controls. Preventive controls prevent risk from actualizing. So prevention is better than cure. Detective controls detect the risk as they arise, and corrective controls are facilitating, reducing the impact of the resulting loss. So in a computer system, controls should be at all. The nature of control has to be preventive, detective, corrective. And when you talk of configuration system, it has to be at configuration, masters, and transaction level. So this is a very important discussion. Again, see, the point is that how do I ensure that what I have learned in the subject has value beyond? So see, this is one, I've talked about one area previously. This is another area where once you become chartered accountant, then the skill sets you get in these three areas is a separate deliverable, a separate client engagement that you can have. Configuration or making client software valid for business of the client. I'll come on that. It's a very good topic. Let us first talk about your queries. Yes, so very good. Darshan has explained why value is 0. Sum is 0. Everyone has said correctly. Then Sunday. No, Darshan, because Sunday is Generally, Sundays are holidays in all cities. So the footfall on Sunday is larger. Footfall on Sunday is much larger. That is. So get the idea. This is scenario. See, just take it as a practical case in life. So when the people who decide to do a mock drill, they will have experts who are going to guide that. See, we need to do a mock drill like this on this day and this time. Then it will be more effective. So that is, so this scenario management, before you start managing scenario, documentation of scenario, the risk relating to that, it itself is a big topic to talk about. Okay. Then coming to this, so when you are implementing computer system, just for example, because will be talking about implementing, so like all our public sector bank, the most used banking software across India is Finacle. Finacle is a banking software by Infosys. Then TCS also had a banking software, Banks 2000, Banks Link. Then FlexCube is a company. They have their banking software, iFlex. And now because see, banking has evolved phenomenally in India, this online payment. We have a separate chapter on core banking system. So we are going to talk much more on banking like that. But beyond that, so just I'm categorizing banks for this example so that you remember it. You have read in your accounts audit also, bank audit, your bank accounting. So banks are public sector bank, private sector bank. Now Reserve Bank of India has given special license to payment banks, small lending banks. Then you have cooperative banks, then you have state cooperative bank, multi-state cooperative bank. Then you have district cooperative bank. So now what has happened? Because Reserve Bank has mandated that whatever bank you are going to use a core banking solution software. So a core banking being used by State Bank of India will be much more relevant for State Bank of India. It may not be relevant for a small district cooperative bank. So now we have vendors across India who have special softwares, special banking, core banking system for small bank also. So that means the parameter, the range of available software is phenomenal. So that is one. Then like those of you who are doing articleship, those who are going for audit, so you must be observing the accounting software used by clients. So Tally is there, Marg is there, and there are multiple business related, locational, state specific softwares which are being used. Now GST being there and now e-invoicing being there. So every software vendor had to configure the software to meet the requirement of law like that. Then the third category of software that is important is ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning software like SAP, Oracle Financials, and there are many such ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning software. So I have shared the category that by the time you become chartered accountant, wherever you go, these three type of software will cover 90% of all software that you are going to look at. So banking software is done, accounting is done, and ERP is done. Okay. So what is the question? The question is that in a computer system, controls, when you are implementing, you need to check controls at configuration level, at master level, and at transaction level. So what is configuration? What is master? What is transaction? That we are going to talk about. Now the point that I want to make it, understand, to be able to what we call as customize, to be able to implement accounting software for your client itself is a business opportunity. Please start thinking in that manner. That if just, for example, you're talking about Finacle or a Tally ERP or an SAP like software. So when it is implemented, so there are implementation consultants who help entity configure the software as per their need. It's a separate business opportunity to get into. Okay, so let us go ahead. Now, so what I'll be doing, I'll be sharing practical examples on each of this. Configuration refers to the way a software system is set up. Configuration is a methodical process of defining options that are provided in the software. When any software is installed, values for various parameters should be configured as per policy of the policy of the organization. So here is the software and here is the policy. So software has to be configured as per the policy, that is configuration setting. I'm asking you two words. Okay, let me write here. So you can comment in the chat what you read from these words. And the words that I have written are available for used in bank audit. Sorry, just allow me a change. Correction by me would be indication of this. So you have to tell me what these words are. You have all read it, huh? So once you tell me, then we'll take these as an example and see how configurations are so important. Okay. So configuration refers to the way software is set up. Configuration is a methodical process of defining options that are provided when any software is installed based on. So configuration is configuring the software as per policy of the organization. Okay. Let us read what it includes. Mapping of accounts to front-end transactions like purchase or sale. So how you define, that is what is called as chart of accounts. If you've read the word, XBRL is another word that is relevant. We'll be talking about XBRL as, so just keep a tag of these words. They are part of the syllabus. They are going to come in later chapters. Extended business reporting language, XBRL. So how you create your chart of accounts like that. Okay, good. Then when any software is installed, so mapping of accounts to front-end purchase sale, control on parameters like creation of customer type. Now, why I talked about these examples of bank, say small bank. Now, Reserve Bank of India, like you have in all big cities and small towns also, small banks are. So what is the idea behind giving a separate license of small bank? And what is the difference between the license condition of a big bank like State Bank and a small bank? So what is the difference? So the core idea, the way government is thinking, the key word is financial inclusion. Keep this word with you, financial inclusion. Financial inclusion basically means ensuring the 140 crore Indians who are there and all those who are eligible to have a bank account for any purpose, or they need a bank account. So, or all those who have money or get money, like government gives scholarship to students of schools also. So they must have a bank account. So every individual who has any money transaction, he or she must have a bank account. So the keyword is financial inclusion. Because of this idea about financial inclusion, government thought that having a like State Bank, just sharing an example, State Bank of India, the license terms may say that the share capital must be paid up to 1,000 crores. Now 1,000 crore is your paid up share capital and it becomes a big, so no new person can come. So government of India thought, okay, let us have a separate license for small bank. So we will have reduced low level of capitalization. Say for small bank, government of India says that, okay, you can create a small bank if you have your share capital up to 100 crores. Okay, so that is good. Then because it is a small bank and it cannot, the definition is small bank, so multiple restrictions have been kept. So I want to link that restriction with this word, what we are looking at, creation of customer type, vendor type. Okay. What, how does it is so important to talk about? So like small bank license says that a small bank cannot go for infrastructure financing. Infrastructure financing, road building, bridge building, dam building, tunnel building, these are infrastructure. Infrastructure financing requires 100 crores, 500 crores. Now, because government has said that you can have a share capital of only 100 crores and you are a small bank, so you cannot do infrastructure financing. Now, how does it link to the slide? That is important. So if I'm a small bank and I'm using a core banking solution. In my core banking solution software, if I want to create a customer type, so which customer type I will need not create an infrastructure customer. So that is how your policies are configured into your software. Let me do it again. So suppose I am a small bank. As per the Reserve Bank of India licensing norms, I cannot finance infrastructure projects. So if I cannot finance infrastructure projects, my bank is not going to have a customer who is going to do a infrastructure financing. So I'll not be giving an infrastructure loan. So if I am not giving an infrastructure loan in my bank's configuration, I will not have a customer who has a infrastructure financing base. That is so important. So you got the relevance of the way you create configurations, the importance of it. It's a big practice opportunity of all those who have, who you must be feeling. See, when you sit with computers, you feel whether I am enjoying or not. So all of those who enjoy systems, talking about systems, it's a big opportunity when once you become chartered accountants and once you start your practice. Configuration setting, like that. So to me, it's an opportunity. So subject not being there and there, that is irrelevant. For us, let us create opportunities for discussion. Okay. Then, so control, that is configuration. So what nature of bank you are, that is configuration. What nature of organization you are, that is configuration. Then user activation, deactivation, that is easy, means who is a user who is going to be there in system, what will be his or her access rights, that is next one. And managing password, like if any one of you have a person who is working in a bank, a family member working in a bank, then if you talk to the person, elder or parent in the family, then our elder will tell us that in bank system, every user of a bank, every employee of a bank who has a password in system, he or she has to change the password every 30 days. हर 30 दिन में पासवर्ड बदलना ही होता है. That is part of password management. Then we took a question on in quiz that password, what must be good quality of password and what must not be a characteristics of the password. A small size password is not a desired password. A password has to be alphanumeric with a special symbol, with uppercase and a lowercase. That is again part of password management. How many, after how many days you change it, that is also type of password management. Now, I asked a question. I think most of you have answered correctly. CRR, cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio. Good. Yes. Okay. Two people. Okay. More than 4 people have answered asset liability management. That is also good. Now, so for say each bank, based on the category of license, bank has, Reserve Bank of India has a classification that what is your cash reserve ratio requirement, what is your statutory liquidity ratio, how you must manage your asset liability management. All this will be part of what? Configuration. So if you look, configuration is basically a top, how I am, what I am, defining my software as per definition of my business's configuration setting. That is what we need to learn. But it's good. All of you have defined it. So, and do remember the definition. Means definition is not part of this syllabus, but kindly do remember definition of SLR, CRR and ALM. And whatever definition you remember in your bank audit or accounts, bank accounting, all those definitions have to be configured in system. I told you ours is a king subject. So we have already brought costing into our subject, auditing into our subject. Now we are bringing accounting also. And then during the course of discussion, taxation we will also bring in our subject. So ours is a king subject. It lies on top of all. That is how it is. Okay. So configuration set. Next. Masters. Masters refers to the way various parameters are set up for all modules of the software, like purchase, sale, inventory, finance. These drives how the software will process relevant transaction. Masters are set up first time during installation and they are changed whenever business process rules or parameters are changed. Some examples that is easy, but then we'll talk about more on this. So, like, let us carry one example. Okay, the example we took about a small bank, it cannot create a infrastructure borrower. The customer and infrastructure company cannot be customer of a small bank because there is a restriction in the Reserve Bank of India license. But a small shop owner can be customer of a, like a medical shop owner, that individual proprietor partnership or whatever is the business organization, they can be customer of the bank. So once you have, so in configuration, you say, okay, A, B, C, D up to say L, these will be my customers. When you come to master, then you go specific to the customer. Like, this is a customer, what credit period I will allow, that becomes part of master configuration. Let me do it again. This is my customer, credit period I'll allow. This will part of my customer configuration. Same way, vendor masters. So when I talk of vendor masters, so my type of vendors have been selected. What credit period I'll take from my vendors, that is. Then I want you to tell me material master. So material master is in configuration, the nature of the type of materials. I want you to tell me at least one or two items that you are going to define in material master. We have talked about it in detail. You have answered many questions on that. I am giving you a hint. So I request you to write in the chat, what items are you going to define in material master as a part of master of materials, like that. Okay. Then employee master. So employee master is the salary, the components of the salary, the deductions, all that will be part of employee master. So that will be part of master configuration. Okay. So I want you to tell me what you are going to define in. No, Darshan, you don't say subset. So because a subset will create a very different type of thinking process. Avoid it. Configuration is the way organization is. That is configuration. Then based on that definition, you create master. So I would say in hierarchy, configuration is first, then master, and then transaction. Don't create a subset like word. It is going to create confusions. Okay. So I'm expecting answer from you. What item you are going to define in material master? We have talked about it. Yeah, very good. So I think the e-chocolate has to go to Sunil. Sunil has said EOQ, yes, economic order quantity, maximum, minimum order, very good. Darshan, quantity, quality, good. So I read EOQ, ROQ, and then reorder level, minimum order, maximum, someone did say. So we talked about it. That becomes part of the material master. Okay. Now, I'm asking you this question. Okay. You know, this, just try to learn. See, what we basically need to understand, the practicality of this subject. Okay. You know, you must be reading that, like in Tamil Nadu, I miss this name of the city, but there's a huge automobile hub. So automobile hub means there are big car manufacturers and ancillary units of car manufacturers are also in the same locality. Okay. So why within? Because if all people are in the same locality, you can follow just-in-time approach. Then the lead time between your ordering of the material and receiving of the material is reduced. Because you are all in the same locality, you are saved from few risks. Like, for example, flooding, any natural disaster. Because if natural disaster is going to affect, it is going to affect all the units together. But if your, say, original equipment manufacturer or the supplier of ancillary part is at a distance from you, then that risk is increased. So that is a point that I have made. I want you to tell me that, say, suppose I am an industry, like government of India, we talked about this semiconductor, government of India is focusing a lot on semiconductor manufacturing. We are a world leader in fabrication. I've told you the knowledge base for fabricating, designing of the circuitry is very high in India. The manufacturing, because manufacturing is different nanometers you manufacture. Okay. So that is a very different level of technology. So that is what we are creating a hub. So just for example, suppose I'll be naming few cities like that. Okay. So say for example, I am in Mumbai and I am a manufacturer of semiconductor chips. Then I require silica sheets. So my present silica sheet supplier is in say Jammu Kashmir, Srinagar. So from Srinagar, I receive my silica sheets. Okay. Then to manufacture these semiconductor chips, a lot of chemical is also needed. So I get that chemical from say Gujarat, Dahej, you must be reading. So I get it from that location. Okay. Then this semiconductor chips, so we require silica, we require the chemicals, and then we require packing material. So my packing material supplier is, say for example, somewhere in say Telangana, Hyderabad. So a product, main location manufacturing in Mumbai, one supplier in Srinagar, one in Gujarat, other in Telangana. Suppose the government of India comes with a scheme that all these four people are brought in an industrial hub. They are brought together, say at a centralized location, say for example in Madhya Pradesh, all are brought together. Now my question is, this event, is it going to affect the reorder level? My question is, this event of bringing all entities together, will it affect the reorder level of the manufacturer of semiconductor? Because that person is ordering, right now ordering silica from Srinagar, chemicals from Dahej, packing material from say Hyderabad, Telangana. So if all are brought together, say in Madhya Pradesh, the units are brought together, an industrial hub is created, will it affect the reorder level of the manufacturer of semiconductor? You have to say yes, no. So you say yes, no, then we'll come back on this. So that is master completion. Next. Uh, So we'll take our break after completing this. Okay, we are completing, then we'll take a break. So vendor master, you create credit period, bank details, customer master, credit limit, bill to address, ship to address, material master, material type, description, unit of measurement, employee name, designation, salary. This you define in the masters. Then this we are going to take after the break, but not break is not there. Let us read. Yes, because your calculation of reorder level has this, I think average lead time is one of the parameters you need to calculate. You use to calculate reorder level. Now see, this tells few things. This tells us that, see, whatever you are studying, just understand the reorder level as a concept, and government deciding to create an industrial hub, and a government policy has an impact on your system because you have to reconfigure your system. That is very important. Okay. So it's 17:13. So we are taking a break. We will reassemble at 7:25. 7:25 पे फिर से मिलेंगे. So it's a break time. Okay, so welcome back after this tea break. Let us start where we left. Now, this all transaction processing we are going to do from the module. Okay, so the related controls we are going to talk there itself. Any questions you have? Let me just refresh. So I'm bringing the module. So here we are looking at transactions. So I'll read few lines and then we'll go to the specifics for each of this. So transaction refers to the actual transactions entered through menus and functions in an application software through which all transactions for specific modules are initiated, like sales, purchase, stock, and other transactions. Implementation or review of specific business process can be done from risk or control perspective in terms of the transactions. Okay. In case of risk perspective, we need to consider each of key sub processes or activities performed in a business process and look at existing related control objectives and existing controls and the residual risk. So every aspect has to be covered. The residual risk we have talked about is an accepted risk that even after control, we cannot make this risk to zero. So that is residual risk. If we review this from control objective perspective, then each key sub-process should be considered for implementing controls. The core is that every part of the transaction, every subcomponent of the transaction must have the necessary controls put into it. Now we are taking each one by one. So what will be, there is good tables given in the module. So few, we will be discussing the whole set of tables. Very critical aspects are given, then there are some risk elements also given. We'll try to see how we can learn through this. Okay. So first aspect, the first category of transactions talked about is procure to pay or purchase to pay, or referred to as P2P, is process of obtaining and managing raw material needed for manufacturing a product or providing a service. So we have discussed our day one first hour lecture. We talked about this cycle. We talked about reorder levels. So this is in your knowledge. So see why the idea has to be there. Whatever controls, whatever system related controls you think about, first there has to be clear understanding of the transaction that you are trying to control. So this transaction is clear to all of you. So if the transaction is clear, then the control element will also be easy to understand. So procure to pay first. Then in the module, two levels have been given. Controls at master level and that at transaction. So let us take master. So the risk is also given and the control parameter, control objective against the risk is also given. So we will read it. Okay. Now how you remember it, how you learn it. So one thing that you can note is that I'll be sharing, say, adding something to the discussion. So this can be part of your learning note. Okay, this is the risk, then this has to be the impact, like that. So unauthorized changes to supplier master file. Now, you need to understand what changes could be done. See, when you say risk, so what you can also document, it's the impact of the risk. भाई ये risk है तो इससे होगा क्या? Risk है, पर what will be the result of? So that we must be able to objectively define that impact. This is a risk. What will be the impact? So we'll try to see what impact it could be. So we will have RIC, risk, impact, and then control objectives. So first the risk. Unauthorized changes to supplier master. Now see what I want. See, these tables are phenomenal. Very good to discuss. I want you to imagine that supply master we have talked about. What fields you can define in supplier master, we have talked about. So I want you to say what category of changes could be done. Master क्या है हम देख चुके हैं, मैं चाहता हूं आप यह बताएं कि जो अनऑथराइज चेंजेस होंगे वो किस तरह के हो सकते हैं, कैसे हो सकते हैं, ऐसा. So unauthorized changes to supplier master. Imagine, think. Master, we have talked about, just think. And then based on your answer, we'll have a good discussion in this point, because I'll be selecting few points so that you get the idea about what exactly is going there. What is the impact of things written, why they are written, because each line is very important. This means just sharing like that. Each line in each of the table is at least a 20-minute discussion. And there are more than 100 lines in this syllabus. So we must be able to do that. Risk impact analysis, that is what I call. So you read the risk, I want you to put the impact so that we improve your understanding. Observation, that is needed. Observation is an audit evidence collecting technique. Okay, SA 500. So that observation power has to be phenomenal. So let us, let all of you comment on the first part. Unauthorized changes to supplier master. So what I want you to write, what nature of changes you imagine that could be done in supplier master. Then we'll see the impact. Okay, then that is going to create a good discussion. So what is the control? Okay, so these changes must not be there. That is the risk. You must have control. Good. So agree. All valid changes to supplier master file are not input and process. This is a very different category of risk. Please understand. What it is saying, see, first is changes are unauthorized. Okay. Second is changes are authorized, but they have not been properly put in system. Just understand. Okay. I'm telling you a very simple example. GST. Okay. Suppose the product HSN code changes, or make it more intense. The vendor, right now the vendor was say in state of Andhra Pradesh, and now the vendor has shifted, like we talked this Telangana vendor. Okay, let us take this example. This our semiconductor manufacturing unit has been moved from Maharashtra to Madhya Pradesh. Our supplier from Srinagar, Jammu Kashmir has been moved to Madhya Pradesh. Supplier from Telangana has also moved to Madhya Pradesh. So all are in the same state now. And Gujarat supplier is also in Madhya Pradesh. And Gujarat supplier may not be moving because Gujarat has a border sharing with MPN. The industrial unit is say near Gujarat border in Madhya Pradesh. So these two suppliers, Srinagar, Jammu Kashmir and Telangana. What valid change you will have to do in the master? Okay, let it be another question. Let us do it in question answer only. So first you are answering in the first case, what can be unauthorized change? In second, you are answering in the example I have given, what valid changes need to be done. So let us read. So let us keep, it's a very intensive discussion. Okay. So let us read the answer to my first question, what you have said. Yes. So Manisha has got very good. Bank account, it is phenomenal. Very good. I think Manisha deserves an e-chocolate. Bank account details affected. Bank account detail means, so if the original bank account was in say State Bank of India and an employee of the company fraudulently changes it to Punjab National Bank, it's a disaster, because now all payments are electronic payments. ECS we are going to talk about in core banking system. Every payment is ECS. So the payment is automatically done in system. It goes to the PNB account, and PNB account is a fraud account because an employee of the company has changed it. Unimaginable. Very good. Claps. Then Darshan, price. Yes. Price at which the supplier is going to send. Credit period. Location. Yes. This may result to unauthorized purchases. Yes. The chances are there. Good. So that is, we must be able to imagine the impact of the lines given. Okay. The second. So let us do it. Time is going to hit us sometime. So valid changes in the example that manufacturing unit from Maharashtra shifting to Madhya Pradesh. One of the valid changes to be done is the GST. You have to take a new GST number and the GST numbers have to be updated in system because the state code is going to change. So valid change. Yeah, very good. Darshan brings a very good important point that I did not talk about. Previously, it was IGST, in interstate GST. Now it is intra CGST, SGST. So how just you got it. Now let us read point number 2. What point number 2 is saying? That the changes are valid but not input in system. It's a disaster. Your GST returns will go wrong. In fact, suppose you are making a cash payment, and the cash payment when you make, so it asks you whether to IGST, CGST. So you make a cash payment in IGST, then it's a whole disaster. Very important. Great. So now I'm reading the controls. All valid changes to be made by authorized person, and all changes made to be processed correctly. So that means, so even if the core word is change only, so first is the changes has to be valid. Second, once valid changes have been approved, they have to be put in system, and there has to be a validation process that the changes affected are actually there in system. So that is where audit comes into play. That is how you look at it. Very important. Great. Then third is changes are there, but they have been incorrect changes made. So accurate, so validation has to be there. Changes to supplier master file are delayed and not processed time. Yeah, that is again going to be disaster, because suppose the state changes, the reconfiguration of state shifting from Maharashtra to Madhya Pradesh has happened in month of July, and you make the changes in month of September. It's a disaster. So if you only have the change word at top, just imagine how many things you have to do. Changes have to be authorized. First, changes have to be correct. Second, changes have to be put properly in system. Means they have to be put in system correctly. Then they have to be processed correctly. Someone has to validate whether they have been put correctly. Just imagine. Then next point is in continuation to the previous. Supplier master file data is not updated. So that you can take care of. And system access to maintain vendor masters has not, that is a disaster. So please understand. This is a disaster. It is against the principle of internal control. You need to have segregation of duty. Maker cannot be checker. So that access rules have to be defined very, very properly in system. So that is, so it's a very intense discussion on one aspect. So few of them we are going to talk very intensively so that you get a good understanding. And believe me, see each of the line that you are learning, this you are going to apply practically. All those of you who are doing articleship and those who are going to do articleship over a period of time, just keep a tag of these words. These are phenomenal way of doing a really effective audit. Just telling you like that. Those of you who are going for audit to any manufacturing location where you find all this, so go to the account officer, account manager, whomsoever is there in the company where you are going for audit, and ask that person, I want a list of all changes made to the master data since 1st April 2023. आप पूछना उससे, हमको मास्टर में जितने चेंज किए उसके लिस्ट चाहिए. You will get phenomenal information to audit. Then transactions. So P2P, purchase to pay, first part was master related data, second part is transaction related. So change is a keyword in first part. Master, the change was the keyword. Let us see what is the keyword here. Again, this will do intensively. The impact here is disasters. Few of the situations are like disaster. Let us read. First is a disaster. Unauthorized purchase requisitions are ordered. Now see, if this is a situation, okay, that means there is no control in the organization. It's a disastrous location to audit, because if a purchase requisition is unauthorized, that means there are gaps at the generation of the purchase requisition. There is a gap at the approval of the purchase requisition, and then before you approve, there is a validation process. This also indicates that the system related controls are just not working properly, because a purchase I think you understand what is purchase requisition. Huh? It's a internal document. First, understand purchase requisition is internal. Okay, so flow may be different in different organization, but the document is internal to organization. It is going to go from one department to another. Many organizations have methodologies of purchase requisition, but it is internal. The core purpose of purchase requisition is to validate a requirement of an item that is not available. So purchase requisition can be generated by the consuming department. It can be generated by stores department. The final person who is going to get the purchase requisition will be purchase department. So purchase requisition from stores, from consuming department will come to purchase department, and then they are going to generate a purchase order based on this. What you're looking at is that purchase requisition is unauthorized. No, it's a fraud. First. Second, if purchase requisition is unauthorized, that means what? The other controls are just not working. It's a disastrous situation in the organization. Okay. Very, very important. Because see what happens when a consuming department generates a purchase requisition, there are a lot of validations done. I'm sharing those validations. What is a validation? That whether the item that is being ordered, what is the available status of the order in inventory? So someone in stores is going to mandatorily see whether the item is available, whether it is at a reorder level or at a minimum level or at a dangerous level. All those validations are done. Then only it goes to purchase department to be sent as purchase order to vendor. So a lot of gap is there. I'm just telling you the element of the impact analysis of the risk that is given. It's disaster in this case. Then purchase orders are placed for approved. Okay, so the control is you approve and place. Okay, say yes. Then now you are placing a purchase order, but it is not entered correctly in system. Again, see, please understand. Now the way systems are working, system works in an integrated manner. So purchase requisition is not physical today, it is system driven. The approval is system driven. Once that purchase requisition comes in purchase department, the approval is done in purchase department. That is system driven. It is automatically converted to purchase order. It is system driven. So in integrated systems, in systems like SAP, ERP systems, the whole question doesn't arise of not entering purchase order correctly in system. It is already in system. The issue may be approval is not being done appropriately, correctly. That is. So all approval has to be done accurately. Then purchase order issued are not input and process. So again, it is talking of a manual system where purchase orders are manually done. But over a period of time, technology has evolved. Not many organizations have manual purchase order today. Okay, but let us take it as it is. Then amount are posted in accounts payable for goods. Yes, this is a fraud. It's a very high risk issue that the payable that is generated for goods and services not received. Again, so this risk is an indicator that the system is not integrated. Okay, if it had been an integrated system from stores till purchases, this risk would not have. So the underlying issue is not this. Underlying issue is that the integration is missing. The chapter we started day one, the first hour lecture was integrated, non-integrated system. Our example was exactly the same. So if it is said that it is not being posted in account payable, that means the entity is working in a non-integrated manner. It's again a disaster, avoidable disaster. Today, the way technology is evolved, most of the entities work in an integrated manner. So once you create an integration, the risk is set aside. That is, you need to ensure that the accounts payable represent goods or services received. Great. Amount posted to accounts payable are not properly calculated. It's a mechanical error, manual error. Generally, in fact, this you must do. See, please understand that even if computers calculate everything, you must always do a test check whether the calculations are correct or not. I'm just sharing a very simplest of the simple, like interest calculation. So this interest calculation, the bank charges interest, debits interest based on cash credit outstanding balance. Even if it is being calculated on a large banking software, always do a sample check. Believe me, you get surprising errors. So this is a must to do. Then amount for goods or services received are not input processed in accounts payable. Okay. So whatever payments are there, they need to be properly put in system. Amount for goods or services received are recorded in wrong period. Okay, so I'm asking you a question, huh? And let me highlight this. I want to see how you have read things. This amount for goods or services received are recorded in wrong period. This is non-compliance of which word in audit procedure or which part of the substantive audit procedure? I'm giving you a hint. अगर यह गलती हुई तो ऑडिट प्रोसीजर के सब्सटैंटिव प्रोसीजर का कौन से हिस्से में पकड़ में आती है? Which part of the substantive audit procedure would have captured this error? So it must be recorded correctly. Then adjustment means the payables are being adjusted without proper reason, must have valid reason. Now see, this word is important. Please understand, few words have become very important due to the changes which have been brought in law. One word is credit note and debit notes. See, in GST, you can pass on your credit, GST credit or receive credit based on credit notes and debit notes issued. So today, organizations issuing credit notes which have a GST impact, they must do it very ethically, very correctly, because GST, this credit note, debit note documentation is also to be shared with the department. So this becomes a very important part. You cannot miss on this. So they need to be recorded correctly and accurately. Then all valid credit notes and other adjustments related to accounts payable are input and not miss. Whatever adjustments are there, they are not processed accurately, so they need to be processed accurately. So, Darshan, allow me to complete the table, then I'll re-explain the question. Okay. Then adjustment in wrong period, disbursement for goods not received. So again, it's a risk. Disbursements are distributed to unauthorized suppliers. Huh? Now, see, this is again a disaster. See, this, see, today, the way systems are working, so this error, disbursement are distributed to unauthorized supplier. This error in transaction is a second stage error. The first stage error is already done in master. See, today, when you create vendor master, so there is a word added along with the vendor master, that is approved vendor master. Why this is becoming, like you have KYC, know your customer, so there is KYV, know your vendor. Today, looking to the statutory obligations, GST and all things being there, organizations have something called as SOP, standard operating procedures, for creating vendor masters. So if this error is there, that means this is an error at the second stage. First error has already occurred. What is the first error? That an unapproved vendor has been added to the vendor master. Because unless you have a vendor, so vendor has to be first, then disbursement is going to occur. This is the second stage error. First stage error has already occurred, that you have got an unapproved vendor. So it's a critical risk. Now, because that unapproved vendor was there, your access controls were not proper. There was a line in the previous table. That is why someone has been able to create an unapproved vendor. Now, because an unapproved, so this error will not happen on its own. This is the second stage error. Okay. First has already occurred. So you need to ensure that no unauthorized vendors are there and no unauthorized payments are there. Then calculation is easy. It's mechanical. All disbursement are not recorded. Again, this line is indicating that the system is not integrated. Today, even small organizations have integrated system. So non-recording of disbursement is not a possibility. Still, there are few businesses where cash dealing is there. So their purchases are in cash, their sales are also in cash. Then those businesses, this issue is there. So that is a risk that exists. And inappropriate period disbursement, adjustment to inventory prices, quantity is not recorded promptly. Again, a not linked system. You need to account for it properly. And system access to process transaction need to be restricted to authorized users. So you must not have an open-ended thing, restricted access. Now, coming to the question that I put was that so let me highlight it again. Slightly tough question, but still good to learn. This was the credit notes and other adjustments are recorded in wrong period. That was the issue. So since there's a word that you have read in audit, cutoff period. What is cutoff period? Cutoff period is ensuring that the expenditure income are of the period for which the audit is being done. So that is that cutoff period from substantive. I think you've read it, cutoff period. Okay. So that is procure to pay. So two flowcharts we will do in detail, procure to pay and order to cash, because these two cover more than 75% of all the transactions in an entity. Okay. So that we allow us to focus on other part of the module also. Yeah, you've learned. Yes. So just see, now see the whole idea is what? That all subjects you are learning, the impact is being felt in enterprise information system. Okay. So and see, it was so specific. The idea about cutoff period is so specific. It is a risk shown here. That is how. So how you get 80% marks here? Few techniques I'll be sharing with you. And to get 80% marks here, your understanding of other subjects has to be good. So if that understanding is good, you can get 80 very easily here. 80% marks like that. Okay. Yes, cutoff is an assertion. Very good. Thank you, Manisha. So that is an assertion. Now, if see, okay, just slightly digression deviating, but it's a good discussion to have. Your auditor. I'm asking a very different question. Question only for learning. Huh? Try to answer that. See, today, the way technology is there, all your clients use computer. So there are two words which exist, a concept of system audit and a concept of financial audit. See, the one that you are reading in your syllabus, 90% of all that is financial audit. Okay. And there is an idea about system audit. So if I ask you that the way things are there today, which audit has to prevail? दोनों में से पहले कौन सा करेंगे? Which is going to precede? Sorry, not prevail, precede. Which will precede? System audit or financial audit? Answer that question. So your answer to the question will tell you the intensity of what you are learning. And now coming to what Manisha said. So you're answering a question that system audit and financial audit, which one is going to be done first? That is. So it's an assertion. Now your auditor, the client is using system. So for your assertion, you need an understanding whether the system is so configured that the cutoff procedures are complied or not. If the system is not configured to comply with cutoff procedure, that increases the risk. If risk increases, that means uh, more sample size, more audit. That is how you look at it. You have all answered correctly, Darshan, Ritika, Harshit, system audit. So every aspect that you're studying has to be incorporated in system like that. Okay. Coming to the next, O2C, order to cash. Now, when we read this, you can remember the snack seller, the example I gave you, order to cash. Okay. Very good, Darshan. If systems are, so let us, what Darshan has written, I'll read and then we'll redraft what Darshan has written. The system is improper, then automatically, if system is improper, then financial systems are improper. So let us read it in auditor's term. So if systems is not properly configured, it raises the inherent control risk for the financial audit. So that means the financial auditor, before he or she goes for the audit part, he has to do a good analysis of system itself, how it is configured, like that. Coming to O2C, order to cash. So you know the cycle. I'm not reading. We'll directly go to the table. Huh? So we are not putting time here. Yes, so Arshita says system audit because all major transactions. To me, now major minor doesn't remain. To me, 100% of all transactions are being done through technology-driven solutions. So that is system audit. Then O2C. So first, order to cash, master related issues. First, customer master file is not maintained properly, information is not accurate. So you know the solution. Invalid changes are made to customer master file. Same. So there were invalid changes in vendor master. Now there are invalid changes in customer master. So this indicates, means this is a risk. What is the source of risk? Okay, I'm putting this to you. So you have to answer here. Let me highlight this one. This invalid master. This one. So what is the source of risk here? इस लाइन ये रिस्क है, इसका सोर्स क्या है, क्यों ये रिस्क का जन्म हुआ, why this risk was born, like that. So what you need to ensure, valid changes are made to systems, masters. So you are answering why this risk has arisen, the reason. Then all valid changes to customer master file are not input process, that we've talked about. So whatever changes you put, process those changes. So if you see the changes here, when you talk of customer vendor, the keyword is changes. See, this is the way you can remember for your examination. अब आपको master पूछे तो change लिख के, whether change is accurate, whether change is approved, whether change is accurately put in system, whether there is a validation process of the change. 4 point एक साथ तैयार हो. That is how you do it. Then all valid changes are put in master. They need to be processed. Changes to customer master must be accurate. So there has to be a validation process. They have to be processed timely. So if you pick a change word, the master is done like. Then customer master has to be up to date and access to master has to be restricted. So let us see, you have answered, yeah. Yes, unauthorized access, more evidence may be needed, good. Now coming to, in the order to cash cycle, transaction related risk. So orders are processed exceeding customer credit limits without approval. Again, so just give me a second. I asked you what was the source of risk. Invalid changes are made to customer master. Yeah. So Harshita gave it correctly due to unauthorized access. No, the source of risk is unauthorized access and your access controls is not properly defined. So that is the source. What is the impact? The impact could be if the customer is A and someone makes a change, then he or she is able to make the change that customer A is replaced by customer B. So product that was supposed to be delivered to A has been delivered to B. Risk. So that is the impact of. Okay. Now coming to transactions. Orders are processed exceeding customer approval limits, so need to ensure that that is strictly controlled. Orders not approved by management must not be happening. All orders must be approved before they are dispatched. Or yeah, this is a see this one is very very important. Please understand it has a lot of relevance in the way things are working today. Order cancellation and is not input accurately. I'm just giving a very simple example. This cancellation is a task for vendors. Just imagine you place order for a wearable. Say, for example, you order your T-shirt, online order. So many Amazon platform, Mitra, Jabong, and hundreds of platforms are there. You order it. Now just mentally process that. Suppose the delivery time is 7 days. In metros, it is in fact 12 hours. At what moment of time as a customer you have placed an online order, you can cancel? Just imagine, nothing to do, just imagine what moment of time you can cancel. So for customer, cancellation is the easiest of the things to do. He can do it within 7 days. There will be 14 different time frames in terms of nature of event that you will cancel. Customer doesn't realize what those 14 events are at the back end, but just giving an example. I have placed an order. I wanted to order a blue T-shirt, but by mistake, I have ordered a red T-shirt. Immediately, I cancel. So at the vendor's end, nothing has happened. Then I have ordered late in the night the blue T-shirt. Early morning, as I wake up, I realize, oh, I have ordered a wrong color T-shirt. Then I cancel. So just imagine. So order cancellation is very, very critical in the way things are working today. Then order entry data are not transferred completely accurately to shipping and invoicing. Now see, when this has a huge business impact, because this aspect is going to affect your customer relationship also. Customer has ordered say 100 units of item and by mistake you have sent 90 only. It is going to hit your customer relationship. So the risk has huge impact. Okay. Then all orders received from customer not input processed, a business risk. Invalid unauthorized orders are processed and input in system. So it is a control related issue. Invoices are generated using unauthorized terms and prices. Again, the source of risk is not here. Source of risk is in master, that someone is able to modify prices in a unauthorized manner. So this is second step of second stage of risk. Then inaccurate calculation always must be accurate. Credit note adjustment we have talked about. Good shipped. This is a fraud. You have shipped the goods, they are not invoiced. In fact, but now the way accounting systems are, they have got a separate report. Goods shipped yet to be invoiced. Those items which have been sent on delivery challan. So system keeps a tag of it. But again, the risk is a genuine issue. You must keep a tag of it. Then credit notes for return goods. I don't know whether you have chance for this, but those vendors who are supplying through online portals, it's a whole job to be done by them. Then shipments raised for invoice for invalid shipment, again a business disaster. Credit note not pertaining to goods return, must not be, invoices not recorded. Again, this indicates your system is not integrated. Today, you purchase side, the issue may be there. In sales side, this issue doesn't exist like that. To me, 100% all invoices are part of system, but still there may be some vendor who are doing manual invoicing, so that is an issue. Credit note issued are not recorded in system, again the same issue. So recording of all invoice are recorded in wrong period, cutoff procedure. Credit note recorded in wrong period, cutoff procedure. Cash receipt not recorded, so fraud. You've read a lot of this in your audit. Cash frauds. Cash receipt data not entered correctly, again a fraud. Cash receipt are entered in system, not entered for processing, again a fraud. Invalid cash receipt, discount improperly recorded. So these are all indications of issue relating to fraud in system. They have to be properly controlled. That is order to cash cycle. But these two are very intense. Yes, Darshan. In fact, that is very important. That has to improve the understanding that if I say change, so change is a singular word, but then from business process point, changes, approved changes, authorized changes, who is updating the changes, whether changes updated have been processed, whether changes updated are correctly updated, whether there is a post change update validation done. So even if the word is singular, but the every step has its impact. That is why there is repeated lines for each of the steps. That is how it is. Then the last one from this aspect, inventory cycle. So I just read the few words which are important. Inventory masters. Changes are made to inventory management master file. Inventory management master file changes means changing reorder level, maximum, minimum level. It's a disaster like that. Then invalid changes to inventory master, management master are input. So incorrect changes made, changes are not accurate, changes are done but not processed timely, and file is not up to date. So if you look to the master, the basic parameters is same. The header is changing. So that will help you remember fast. Okay. Then transactions. So adjustment to inventory prices are not recorded accurately. Raw materials are received except this is again a disaster. This must not happen in any entity. Okay. Then raw material received are not recorded accurately. Raw material received not recorded in system. Accurate recording and recording in system is two errors. Receipt of raw material are not recorded promptly. Defective raw material not returned promptly. Then if you have a defective raw material, debit notes have to be raised. They have to be raised promptly. So everything has to be linked. So you need to ensure each step of the transaction, whether the system is doing its job properly or not. That's okay. So then I'll ask you to go through them. It's a long list. Then human resource, risk and controls, HR, recruiting, onboarding. So these are steps. Our concern has to be risk. Employee who has left must not have access to system. So it's a configuration risk. Employee left out of the system. Now master risk. Additions to payroll have to be approved, authorized, correct employee, like that. So then I'll allow you to go through them. We'll be meeting again and again. So if you have any query, just put it. In the next session, you can always ask queries on any word that is unclear to on any of these aspects. Then fixed asset risk and control. I'll ask you to go through this, read through them. But procurement, registering, adjusting, transferring, depreciating, disposing. This is asset life cycle. So each aspect have to be very properly catered in system. Allow me to go to slide. And the last was general ledger. So this, the last three, I want you to. Okay, so Darshan asked, why is the transaction risk? Because Darshan, the HR related transaction risk will be more part of the accounting aspect. So HR department is not going to generate transaction per se like that. But your point is valid. It could be taken. So see, the whole idea is that module has some basis the way it has been written. So organizations could be working in a different manner also. Take it as it is like that. But your point is accepted, valid. Okay. Then flowcharts we have done. We have done. Now we are coming to regulatory and compliance requirements. So we are again going to read this through from the module. Give me a second to bring the module. And MCQ were uploaded. So for the day MCQ were there. So have you been okay? So because there is a query, so I'll just explain GL. Darshan. General ledger. So general ledger is see, there is a AR ledger, account receivable, account payable, and then you bring it to GL. That is general ledger and subsidiary ledger. You have read about it. GL has a subsidiary ledger control account. SL has a general ledger control account. So all banking systems works in the same manner. That is GL. So your trial balance is generated through the general ledger summary. So GL process refers to process of recording transaction in the system to finally generating the reports. Finally, that is your trial balance, balance sheet, P&L come from the GL submission. The input for GL process is financial transaction and output are various reports, balance sheet, P&L and account. So that is clear. Then they have given steps of entering the transaction and the risk. So the risk I want you to go through. Okay. Ask questions if not clear. Then flowcharts we have done through. We want to talk about the regulatory and other frameworks. So some very important references are given. So kindly do carry this section. You must be reading these sections in other part of your syllabus also, but these are relevant for technology and technology related issues. So Companies Act, two important sections are talked about, section 134 and 143. 134 is about financial statement board report. We have talked about this director's responsibility statement and we did refer to it. So it says that the director's responsibility statement, the directors have taken proper and sufficient care for maintenance of adequate accounting records in accordance with the provisions of this act, that is Companies Act, for safeguarding of assets of the company and for preventing, detecting frauds and the irregularities. So the whole idea about proper accounting, detecting, preventing fraud is on directors. The directors in case of a listed company has laid down internal financial controls to be followed by the company, and that such internal financial controls are adequate and were operating effectively. So this is part of the director's responsibility statement. Who is responsible for implementing controls? That is why this relates to your SA 260 and 265, communicating with those charged with governance and communicating deficiencies of internal controls. Why? Because this is core responsibility of the directors of the company. So that is section 134, very important. Now 143, powers and duties of auditor. So whether now that was management, now auditor is auditing. Whether company has adequate internal financial control system in place and whether they are operating effectively. So auditor has to now comment on that. Now see why this has become very important. This discussion is also important. Why that question of system audit and financial audit becomes more important. See today, because all entities use technology, all entities use system, computers to do their accounting, to do their system, the process flow, transaction flow, the whole manufacturing process. So when everything is being done through system, when I talk about internal financial control, my controls will be put in system. So when for an organization, for an auditor, it becomes an issue to be audited. So when your controls are part of system, auditor must have necessary skills, competence, and capability to audit whether these controls in system are working properly. And when auditor is able to come to a conclusion that the controls are working properly, then the report in 143 he or she can sign whether the company has adequate internal financial control in place and are those controls are operating effectively. That makes this discussion. That is why these legal provisions have been shared with you. 134 and 143. 134 management responsibility, 143 auditors reporting responsibility. Then example, I'll quit this. We're not reading through this. Kindly you go through this. Then this, I just will read few lines. So management is over, auditor is over. Now corporate governance. Corporate governance is frame of rules and practices by which a board of directors ensures accountability, fairness, transparency in company management. So through corporate governance, you ensure everything is going properly or not. Then this is important. Information Technology Act 2000, in bracket you can add as amended by 2008. Original act is in 2000 and it was amended in 2008. So cybercrime, yeah, cybercrime doesn't have a definition per se in law, but cybercrime is all crimes done on technology-driven platform, network-related, internet-related fall in the category of cybercrime. Then, so hacking, so I'm not defining them for you. This is important. You need to keep a tag of this, computer-related offenses, fake public profile, it's Facebook. That is why now a lot of validations are being done on social sites when you create a new account. Then email account hacking, yes, these are important. Credit card fraud. So they've given the fraud and sections. Now I understand that these sections you are reading in other locations in the module also. So even if it's only a section number here, I'll request you to read these in other locations wherever they are given to you in the module. And credit card fraud, website defacement, viruses, worms, backdoors, rootkits, these are spamware, malware. So the header is there and which section of the IT Act they are covered, those sections are there. So kindly do keep a tag of it because you could have direct question in examination. Cyber terrorism, then illegal articles, cyber pornography, the related sections, phishing, email scams. So just keep a tag of all these, the nature of fraud and which section of, so you can create a table. So serial number 1234, the name of the fraud, say phishing, email scam, write that, and in front of that, write the section number of the Information Technology Act for fast remembrance. Then yes, this is important. Kindly do remember these. Not exactly spoofing, Darshan. Spoofing, they are different. Spoofing is basically trying to gain entry. Website defacement is putting something that is not good, or less on a normal website, putting some pornography content or putting some messages. So that is website defacement. Spoofing has to do, it's more of a network related risk like that. Trying to gain entry. Spoof is like creating a fake ID, fake identification, that is. Then do remember this definitions. Access computer network, data, information. This is important. Please remember this section fully, 43. ऊपर से नीचे तक पूरा याद रखना है clause wise. is very, very important. I just give it an example. See, in audit, probably you are reading our code of conduct. So in our code of conduct, there is a clause regarding the confidentiality of client data. So anything that you have with you as a practicing chartered accountant that is of your client. So if that data is with me as a chartered accountant, then confidentiality of data is my responsibility. That 43A is giving a Information Technology Act backing to that responsibility. It says that where a body corporate possessing, dealing, or handling any sensitive personal data or information in a computer resource which is owned by the body corporate, controlled by it, or operated by the body corporate, that body corporate, if it is negligent in implementing, maintaining reasonable security practices and procedures, thereby causes wrongful loss or wrongful gain to any person, such body corporate shall be held responsible to pay the damage to the persons so affected. So like banks have password database of customer. So if hacker hacks the password database of bank's customer and defrauds the bank customer, the responsibility will be of the bank. You are chartered accountant, you are practicing chartered accountant, you have client data, confidential client data, hacker hacks into your system, takes away the confidential data, then it is responsibility of yours if the client gets a loss due to that. So there you will be held in two accounts. First, the code of conduct is also going to hold you responsible, and Information Technology Act will also help. 43A, very important. Then keep a summary tampering, section 65, 66, 66B. 66A has been, I think, taken away, so that is not there. 66C, D, E, F. Then you have 67, 67A, B. So just remember, create a summary of this. Cyber law, India was one of the very first countries in the world where we had a dedicated Information Technology Act. You can keep act, you can keep track. Then this is one of the key words. In fact, it's only within last week government passed that bill on privacy, data privacy bill has been taken to the parliament. Very important. Data privacy is a key word today. That what information you can collect, how you can use, what can use. So that is all here. This is the sensitive personal data information. These rules are there and more updates are being brought to this. So that is part of, so I'll just share the regulatory framework. Now, MCQ 3, I'll bring that. So I think that was uploaded, so you must have gone through that. Let me bring that. The last part of today's discussion. So I'll allow you to answer. We discussed this. Great. C. Harshita, Ritika, Darshan. Good. Manisha, Komal, they have also answered 1C. Now we are asking 2, question 2. Manisha says 2 is also C. Harshit says C. So I think Harshit, you are saying 2C. Okay. So Vaishali says 2D. Darshan says 2D. The Shita, yeah, automated was correct. D, monitoring. Someone has to see whether it is being done or not. Change, monitor. Each of the question we have discussed. Third, we discussed this with example. So let me see. Darshan has got it correctly. 3D. Exception. It is not an error. It can happen. I told you, we talked about that a company has a monopoly product. Company has a policy that they will only supply on advance payment. So if advance payment is my policy, my debtor is going to have a credit balance. See, if you can get the core of the discussion is whenever you talk of system, your understanding of business is a must. आपको जैसे आप में से कई लोगों को ये चिंता होती है कि सर परीक्षा में याद कैसे रखें। मुझे लगता है इस सब्जेक्ट में परीक्षा में याद रखने योग्य एक भी बात नहीं है। जो बात कही गई है उसका जो मूल आधार है, मूल ट्रांजैक्शन है, वह अगर आपको अच्छी तरह याद रहेगा तो आपको परीक्षा में इसको याद रखने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी। See, there is nothing in the whole syllabus to be remembered like that. You need to know the basic business transaction. You know it, you'll always do it correct. We took example for this. Okay. Take your time. Huh? We have again, one of the day one example was this only. Great. Thank you. Vulnerability. So all of you have answered correctly. Komal, Dikshita, Manisha, Darshan, Harshita. Great. In a normal company, bank detail will be part of which master? Vaishali, you, Miss, please do put your chat. You're talking of why C was answer for question 1. Means you are asking 1C. Is that the question you are asking? I'll explain. Just put the question again in chat. It's a very tricky question. भाई किसको पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा इन चारों में से? वेंडर को। मैंने कहा आपको कि अगर आप धंधा अच्छी तरह जानते हैं तो गलती होगी नहीं। If you know the business, you will not make a mistake. Nothing to do with technology. Every single question we have taken with practical example. I think we have got two correct answers. C. Harshit, Manisha. Great. Good question. A. Master creation. So that is chapter 1. So we're not closing, having 1 more minute. Then please review chapter. You have 2 days. So in fact, the whole schedule is like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we will have lectures. Saturday, Sunday, you can review the chapter. Then when we meet again on Monday, so keep your questions ready for the previous chapter. Ask any question from any location of the previous chapter. So before we go to the new chapter, we'll try to answer all your queries. Okay. So what you can do Monday means generally we start at 6, but you can always log in early. You can put your queries early also. Means if after 5:30, so that when I log in, I know the queries, so we can start by answering your queries. Okay. So that is, we want to close the day for today. Any questions for today? Please say. So we are closing. Bye. Good night.